Hi, this is Ryan Dotson with SurvivalSullivan.com. Today what I want to talk about a little bit is bug-in scenarios, and specifically what you want to do and the steps you want to take when you decide to bug in. Locking yourself down in your home for any period of time, whether it's a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, requires some preparation and some planning. And so whenever the time comes that you make that decision, you want to know exactly what to do. So hopefully we can help you be more prepared. The first thing that I suggest is to keep in mind that when you make this decision, there may still be time to get out and get supplies. You may have a few hours, you may have a few days to get to stores or to get to friends and family members' houses to pick up any supplies that you need. So your first priority should be inventory. And in my opinion, the most important thing that you want to be looking at is going to be food, water, and ammunition. Those are going to be the three items that are going to be highly in demand and are going to be pulled off the shelves the fastest. Now, in our situation, we're on well water. So what I would do immediately would be start grabbing gallon jugs and filling up as many as I can. And we've got plenty of them left over that we keep around here for exactly that purpose. Also, if you have a spare bathroom, fill up your bathtub with clean water. You got gallons and gallons of water that you can store there for several days, if not weeks, that you can use. And especially if you don't have to use that bathtub for anything else, it's a good idea to go ahead and get some water in there. If you're on city water, you need to be looking at storing water in advance, whether that be in gallon jugs or bottles or large tanks or rainwater reserves, whatever the case may be. In a disaster situation, city water could be shut down, so you need to be prepared for that. As far as food, you want to be looking for dry goods primarily, canned goods, and pickled goods. So anything from dried beans, canned goods, soup, any type of dry mixes, obviously staples like flour and sugar are a good idea, and then any pickled items are always smart. We also have a garden here that is somewhat hidden. We've got some rows of plants that are really tall up around it, so it's hard to tell it's a garden from a distance. But one of the first things I would do is head out there with a bucket and start collecting as many vegetables as I can so that we have plenty of food around here. Now, as far as ammunition, that's going to be one of the fastest things to go, so you really need to take a close look at that. We always keep plenty of .22 ammunition on hand. It's hard to find, especially in a disaster situation, so we always have plenty of that. We have some shotgun shells, but we definitely would want to have more, so that's probably something that we would pick up off the shelves. You really want to try and have at least a few weeks of food, ammunition, and water prepared immediately. And if there's anything that you have missing, and that includes other things like batteries, blankets, anything else that you might need over the course of that period of time, you need to go ahead and get that quickly, get back to your home, and get prepared to lock down. Now, once inventory is taken care of, the next thing you want to start looking at is your lines of defense for your property. And you want to have several layers of defense, if at all possible. Nobody's going to have a 10-foot wall around their house, but you really want to try and make it as difficult as possible for people to come in and intrude on your property. And so that starts at the perimeter of your property with fencing of some kind, if at all possible. So we're going to go out and I'm going to show you kind of what our system looks like. In addition, one other thing that's good to hold on to for deterring other people from coming on the property is old newspapers. If you can grab a bundle of 20 or 30 newspapers and throw it by your the foot of your driveway or by your front door, that's a deterrent that makes people think that nobody's been here for a long time and there's probably nothing there for them to go after. Okay, so we're out here at the edge of the property, and I'll show you kind of what we're working with. You can see we've got a fence running all the way around the outside of our 10 acres. We don't have a huge property, but it's enough for us to have some land for hunting and fishing and a good garden and everything. So there's barbed wire going around the whole perimeter of the property. Sure, people can climb over barbed wire. It's just another barrier for them to get through. Now, you want to make sure you have a way to lock down your property. And you'll see that we have a gate here. We hardly ever use it. But if we were needed to, we would be able to pull these gates together and lock that down with some chain, so we are completely enclosed, and that gives them another barrier for them to get through. Now, another way that you can deter people from entering your property is making it look run down, making it look deserted. And so there are certain things that I've left out here to do that. We've got this old sign frame, and I have not torn that down just strictly because it makes the place look like nobody's been here for a while. There are other things that you can do in addition to that. We have a patio area that we've let grow up and make it look kind of deserted. So again, that's another deterrent to make people think that there's nobody here. The grass helps me hide the fact that we've got 3 propane bottles over here to do grilling with if we need to. I've got a pile of wood buried underneath this dead grass over here, and I've got a fire pit underneath this grass over here. So we've got some extra supplies out here, but really at first glance nobody would think that anybody's using any of this stuff. Now, your next line of defense you need to think about is the exterior of your home. And garage doors, while they seem secure, they're thin aluminum, they're really not. Somebody with the right tools can get through that pretty quickly. So anything important to your survival, you probably want to keep inside the garage if you possibly can. Windows, you have a few options. You can board windows or you can bar windows, but windows need to be protected one way or another. If you put bars on them, you can do that well in advance, so you don't have to take the time to do it because that can be time consuming. Putting boards up, whether it's plywood or particle board, is not very time consuming. You just got to make sure you have enough on hand, and that's the option that we've chosen. We have a bunch of it stored up in the barn, so we could board up all of our windows pretty quickly if we wanted to. Now, it's a good idea, if you're going to be boarding up your windows, for you to put on some of the boards about a 3-inch slot, maybe 2 feet in height, in that board, so that you can still see out, but people really can't see in. And that helps you to observe what's going on the property, but it also helps you if you absolutely have to start shooting, to have a shooting lane. All the way back to medieval castles, they use slots like this with their archers to where you're protected for the most part from incoming fire, but you can still fire out as much as you need to. So that's something you want to really think about. Those are the main things that I would focus on immediately, is make sure that your property has an exterior perimeter that's locked down, make sure that your windows, and also think about doors, because if you have a wooden door, that's not a great barrier. You might want to replace that with a steel door or barricade it in some way just to make sure that you have as much protection as possible. And then, of course, get out and get any supplies that you can as quickly as you can, get back to your home and get everything locked down so you're good to go. Candles, batteries, any type of supplies that you think are going to be important, blankets, things like that. So hopefully this has been some help. I sure appreciate your time. And with survivalsolvent.com, this is Ryan Dotson. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.